Hey there, everybody. I'm Cassandra.
And I'm Craig, and welcome back to Passport and Soul.
If this is your first time here, Passport and Soul is our little corner of the internet where we talk about slow, soulful travel with a focus on wellness, intentional living, and what it's really like to travel as a person of color, especially over the age of 40.
And today we're diving into something we take seriously, and that's safety while traveling, especially as Black travelers or travelers of color in general.
So let's get real. Not everybody understands why safety is such an important thing and something that we think about so deeply.
Yeah, and we've heard it before. I've never had a problem with traveling. Why should I be worried?
But unless you have experienced those long stares or microaggressions or just straight up being ignored or targeted in a place where no one really looks like you, you might not get it.
You might not get it, but for us, safety is more than just avoiding crime. It's about feeling safe. It's about being seen, respected, and comfortable enough to enjoy your trip. Since you spent good money for it, you might as well enjoy it. All right, so let's get to the good stuff. These are some of the things we do every trip to keep ourselves safe and ready.
Okay, so number one is making digital and paper copies of all of your important documents. So that means like your passports, your IDs, your health insurance, anything that you would be lost without or you'd be stuck without.
We keep digital copies in secure Google Drive, and we also email them to ourselves, so we'll always have a copy, whether they're lost or stolen.
So number two is knowing the emergency contact number of whatever country it is that you're going to, because not every country uses 911 like we do here in the States. As a matter of fact, in the UK, the emergency number is 999. And then while we're planning our trip, we also look up the emergency number of the US Embassy or the US Consulate, just in case, because it is another way of giving us some more peace of mind. The number three thing to do is to avoid sharing your location on social media in real time.
And like everyone else, we love posting, but we try to wait until after we've left an area before we use our location post. Like if we're, say, in a cafe in Lisbon or a cafe in London, we don't post that we're there while we're there. We wait until after we've enjoyed ourselves and we've walked away and are moved on to the next location before we post that we've been at that particular cafe.
Because you never, ever, ever know who's watching your stuff online. So number four is being cautious when you're using public Wi-Fi. So we always use a VPN, especially if we're using Wi-Fi in an airport or a hotel, because public Wi-Fi can be really tricky.
And if you don't have a VPN yet, don't log on for any banking information, traveling information, or anything that has access to your personal information. Because on public airport Wi-Fi's, cafe and restaurant Wi-Fi's, they're open to anybody and everybody. So whatever you are showing on your screen is being seen by everybody in the vicinity.
Let's take a pause for a moment and talk about something that goes just a little bit deeper. Because safety as a traveler of color is something that has a lot of different layers.
It's not just about not flashing your valuables and watching your wallet. It's also about how you're perceived by other people and how you wish to be perceived by people from a different environment or different culture than your own.
Right. So what we've learned to do is to do just a little bit extra research on how people of color are treated in a destination before we go somewhere. And so it's not just about looking at, what's the hottest new restaurant or what's the best museum exhibit. We look into the local culture and race relations and whether or not there is a Black expat community or a forum that talks about their experiences in a particular location or destination.
That means checking out blog posts. That means checking out YouTube channels. That means checking out everything, TikTok, anything. Type in phrases on Google like, where are the Black people in that particular city? Which area has the most or the largest percentage of Black people or people of color. Because you want to know these things so when you go there, you don't feel alone, you don't feel isolated. You have a place where you can feel comfortable at all times.
Exactly. And then you can also check out sites like the U.S. State Department's country reports, because those are not just about the crime statistics of other countries, but they have notes in there about discrimination and things about how law enforcement treats people. You'd be surprised about what information is in there. We've learned that there are some places where people are just curious because they haven't seen a lot of people that looks like us. And then there are other places where you might need to mentally prepare and brace yourself for a little bit more because you never know what you might encounter.
We're not saying don't go to these places. We're saying when you go, be prepared and be informed and be aware of what's going on around you.
Exactly. And then also it can be really helpful for you to connect with local people who share a similar background to yours. And whether that's through social media groups or taking cultural tours, or even finding directories that have information about businesses owned by people of color, it can really make a difference when someone kind of gets you.
Right. We once met somebody from a Facebook group who told us all the cool and cultural significant places to go to within in Portugal last time we were there. These are things that are important to know, good to see, but they're also not going to be on TripAdvisor or any Google form or Google review.
Exactly. And for people in our community who are watching this video, don't let fear stop you from traveling. It's just about adding knowledge and awareness and a few solid strategies into your toolkit. It'll make all the difference in your trip. So, here are some additional tips that have helped us to feel safer and more prepared when we're traveling. So the first one is being discreet and using discretion with your passport. In some countries, being American can get you better treatment. In other countries, especially nowadays, not so much. If you feel uncomfortable, it's not necessary for you to always tell people where you're from right away. Another thing that you should do is to be cautious when it comes to areas that have political or racial tensions going on. So avoiding things like demonstrations or large protests or heated political debates, especially if you're someone who can be visibly identified as other. Another thing that you can try a little bit is blending in just a bit with your wardrobe. So let me clarify that. We don't try to totally disappear when we're traveling to a new location, but we try to avoid looking completely obvious as tourists. So we try not to wear like overly American outfits, white sneakers, all labels all over the place, flashy logos, those kinds of things. And if you're going to a place that might be a little more conservative, it can be helpful to know the local customs, such as whether or not you need to have a headscarf if you're going into a temple or a religious institution. Another thing that you can do is to use anti-theft bags. So those are bags that make it more difficult for people to slash the purse strap, or keeping your book bag in front of you rather than behind you. It makes it a lot more difficult for someone to steal or pickpocket your stuff. Another thing that you can do is be intentional about where it is that you're staying. Read the reviews if you're going to stay in a hotel or an Airbnb or a bed and breakfast or something like that. Read reviews from other Black travelers, people of color when you can. We've stayed or thought about staying in places that looked good on paper, but didn't necessarily feel welcoming when you were there in person. And it's also important to have a plan for transportation. That's a biggie, because you can't necessarily always rely on ride shares. So in some places, drivers may cancel when they see your picture and see what you look like. It happens. So it's important to have at least some knowledge of the public transportation system and how to get around using public transportation in that area, or you can perhaps arrange for private transfers ahead of time. Another thing to do, if you can, is learn more about the local cultural etiquette. In some places, people staring at you can just be curiosity, not rudeness, because they don't see a lot of travelers of color. In others, it can mean trouble. So kind of knowing the difference can really help you gauge situations a lot better. And speaking of gauging situations, it's important for you to be able to trust your instincts. This one is huge. I can't stress it enough. If something doesn't feel right, don't try to rationalize it. Listen to yourself. Listen to your gut. Listen to the wisdom that's inside of you. Excuse yourself. Leave if you have to, because your peace and your peace of mind is so much more important than what other people think about you or about being polite.
And the way the world is nowadays, whether you're traveling 10 miles from home or 1,000 miles from home, always let somebody know your itinerary. Let them know when you're leaving, when you land, what time you're arriving at your hotel, how long you're going to be at that hotel. Give them the name and the address of that hotel. Let them know how you're getting around. You don't have to give them a day-by-day report of what you're doing, but let them know the general itinerary of what you're going to be doing while you're staying in this particular location. And if you plan on leaving, like taking a day trip to another city or another country, like say you're in London and you want to go out to another part of England, like Bristol, let them know that you're going there so they won't be worried when they find out that you're not at your hotel that you told them earlier that you'd be staying.
Exactly. And because anything can happen at any time, anywhere, it at least, if law enforcement needs to get involved, it at least gives them an idea of where they can look for you and to try to figure out what's happening or what's going on. So, I know that was a whole lot of stuff. That's a whole lot of information to remember. But don't worry, because we've got you. We've put together a free travel safety checklist that you can download. It has everything that we've been talking about in this video and more, all in one easy list that you're able to go through before your next trip. And you're able to download it for free. We're going to put the link in the description below this video.
We hope this helps you feel more confident and protected in your next adventure.
Yes. And if this was helpful to you, give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and drop a comment letting us know what is your go-to travel safety tip. And don't forget to forward on this video to someone that you think it might help.
Don't forget to join our Facebook group, Passport to Soul, where we try to make a connection with other people and get a conversation going about travel and places to visit.
Exactly. Thanks for watching. Safe travels.